Board Bill 146 is going to part. Reference to
Oh, you're talking about reference.
The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingrassia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Rhodey. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Rhodey. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Boyd. 17 present.
Quorum being present, we will be led today in prayer by our very own John Watson Jr. from Maple Temple.
Before we get started, we want to acknowledge the presence of our presiding bishop, Charles Blake of the Church of God in Christ, and the Church of God in Christ convocation being present in St. Louis all this week. We want to acknowledge that they are making a spiritual contribution and a financial contribution to our community, and we want to thank them. With that being said, we want to quote from the Holy Scripture, "In him we live and we move and we have our beings." Gracious God, Heavenly Father, we start this day with gratitude and thanksgiving, acknowledging you are the life of our spirits and the love in our hearts. With simple trust, we draw near to you, opening our lives to your renewing presence. Strengthen us with might by your Spirit in the inner man, so that we might continue to work together in this great community that you are allowing us to serve. So bless us with wisdom and energy to seek your will and produce effective, helpful, and fair outcomes. Into your hands we commit ourselves, our families, our great city. Amen.
Let's give a round of applause to John Watson Jr. and also for them having their holy convocation here in the city of St. Louis. I don't know how much you guys know about the Holy Convocation, but that is the convention for the Church of God in Christ. They've had it here for the last several years. It was a huge win for the city of St. Louis, and it brings a lot here into our economy to have them here. They have 6.5 million members across their entire membership all around the globe, so we are indeed thankful to have them. We dispense with line item 3, introduction of honored guests. Any introduction of honored guests? Any introduction of honored guests?
Hi, everybody.
All the women from the 27. You recognize.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to recognize the honored guests that we have up in the galley, and all of them here are our honored guests. Thank you very much.
Aldermen from the 23rd.
I'd like to introduce Greg Meyer, who's also up in the gallery, although I'd rather have him sitting over here by me, as my special guest today from the Tillis Park Neighborhood Association, plus the guy that helps me get around when I'm off balance. Thanks.
Alderman from the 22nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I'd like to have my honored guest, Miss Toni Cousins, who has to be the daughter of the Alderman from the 27th Ward.
Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Alderman from the 4th.
Good morning.
They missed the first part.
This is Ray Charles. That's why I got this gear on this morning. My special guest today is Dwayne Evans, my committee woman. Thank you.
Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Alderman from the 10th, like to wrap us up?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, if you'd like to. As we're gathered here today on November 8th, on this day in 1960, John F. Kennedy defeated Richard Nixon to become the 35th President of the United States. But more importantly, this is National Harvey Wallbanger Day, so add some Galliano to your orange juice and vodka. And while you're doing that, remember it's also Veterans Day weekend. Salute a veteran. Thank a veteran if you know one. Jeffrey Boyd, thank you very much for being a veteran.
Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes, November 1st, 2019.
Alderman from the 22nd.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move to approve the minutes dated November the 1st, 2019.
Moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the aldermen's mailboxes. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment and reappointment to the 620 Market Community Improvement District and the 620 Market Transportation District Board of Directors. The appointment of Ms. Lori Shannon, a legal representative of JBS LLC, a business operating within the district, replacing Paula Jensen, whose term will expire June 30th, 2021. The reappointment of Mr. Mike Shannon, a property owner within the district, whose term will expire June 30th, 2023. The reappointment of Mr. Gary Van Maitre, a legal authorized representative of JBS LLC, a business operating within the district, whose term will expire on June 30th, 2022. The reappointment of Mr. Timothy Van Maitre, a legally authorized representative at JBS LLC, a business operating within the district, whose term will expire on June 30th, 2022. The reappointment of Mr. Matthew Kruzinski, a legally authorized representative of JBS LLC, a business operating within the district, whose term will expire on June 30th, 2022. I respectfully request your approval of these appointments. Sincerely, Lyda Cruz, Mayor.
Alderwoman from the 6th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the 620 Market Community Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we approve the mayor's appointments to the 620 Market Community Improvement District.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 6th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individual for appointment to the Magnolia Community Improvement District. The appointment of Ms. Kimberly Lucas, an owner of a real property within the district, replacing K.C. Heyman, whose term will expire January the 6th, 2020. I respectfully request your approval of these appointments. Sincerely, Lyda Cruz, and Mayor.
Alderman from the 6th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Magnolia Community Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we approve the mayor's appointments to the Magnolia Community Improvement District.
Moved by the Alderman from the 6th. And entertain a second on that motion, seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Alderman from the 16th, you reckon? Okay. Do you want to discuss that? All right. It's been moved and seconded. Alderman from the 16th, do you have any questions about this motion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That is the extent of report of city officials.
We dispense with line item 7. Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars?
Mr. President,
Alderman from the 16th.
thank you for the recognition, Mr. President. Before we move to the informal calendar, I'd like to make a motion that we pull the mayor's appointments to the Board of Freeholders in a letter dated September 23rd and a subsequent letter dated September 24th from the Government Affairs Committee and put before this body.
Under what rule do you feel you have the power to do that?
I'm pretty certain that you can make a motion anytime after, during our agenda from line items 5, before we start with the informal calendar, on the ability to put any appointment.
We can, but nowhere
body.
in our rules do we have the ability to pull appointments out. It allows us to pull
Is there
bills
a
out.
rule, point of order, is there a rule prohibiting it, though, is my question.
The rules explicitly give the power to pull appointments out, but furthermore, the second issue there is my understanding that that item has been tabled in committee. So the committee has taken an official action. That's equivalent to the committee voting something down or killing it in committee, and then the full board coming to pull it out of committee after it's been killed in committee, right? So the committee has taken some action there. You know, and I've been encouraging the mayor to send a simple letter over saying that she will work with the committee members on the 3 appointments and everything, you know, and then I believe the committee is ready to move on all the actions and get it all done.
Okay.
And I
so
think
just a point of order, your official ruling is that my motion's out of order.
Yes.
Understood. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? We will dispense with line items 8 through 10, first reading of board bills.
Board Bill 146, sponsored by Alderwoman Navarro, Alderwoman Green, Alderman Gunther, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Rice, Alderman Narayan, and Alderwoman Murphy. An ordinance to amend the 2018 International Energy Conservation Code and containing a severability clause, savings clause, and an effective date. Board Bill 147, sponsored by Alderman Vaccaro, an ordinance adopting the 2018 International Plumbing Code with amendments repealing Ordinance 69255 and containing a penalty clause, severability clause, savings clause, and an emergency clause. Board Bill 148, sponsored by Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Ingrassia, Alderwoman Rice, and Alderwoman Navarro. An ordinance recognizing the increasing public health threat of viral hepatitis, HIV, AIDS, and other blood-borne diseases as a result of the use of unsterile syringes and needles, accepting the evidence of harm reduction offered by Syringe services programs, as well as their treatment benefits and other laws to the contrary, notwithstanding authorizing the Director of the City of St. Louis Department of Health to establish a pilot syringe services program in collaboration with the private sector organization and for the Director to issue standards, policies and procedures for health, safety, and welfare as part of the pilot syringe services program and containing emergency and severability clauses. Board Bill 149, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the Director of Airports and the Comptroller of the City of St. Louis, owner and operator of St. Louis Lambert International Airport, to enter into and execute on behalf of the city the First Amendments to Automated Teller Machine Concession Agreement, AL 361, between the city and Bank of America, amending Automated Teller Machine Concession Agreement. The First Amendment was approved by the Airport Commission and is attached hereto as Attachment 1 and made a part thereof, and its terms are more fully described in Section 1 of this ordinance, containing a severability clause and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 150, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingrassia, an ordinance approving the petition of an owner of certain real property to establish community improvement district, establishing the Chouteau Avenue Corridor Community Improvement District, finding a public purpose for the establishment of the Chouteau Avenue Corridor Community Improvement District, and containing an emergency clause and containing a severability clause. Board Bill 151, sponsored by Alderman Moore, an ordinance authorizing Amendment Number 4 to the amended and restated lease between the City of St. Louis and EPV2 Dignity House, LLC, originally authorized by Ordinance 64565, which was adopted by the Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis, approved September 28, 1998, and subsequently amended pursuant to Ordinance 64913, 64913, and 68941 for property and improvements commonly known as Homer G. Phillips Dignity House, located at Whittier and Kennerly Streets, and containing an emergency clause and containing a severability clause. Board Bill 152, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingrassia, Alderman Gunther, Alderman Kotar, Alderman Cone, Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderwoman Green, Alderwoman Rice, and Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance prohibiting medical and mental health care providers from providing conversion therapy, also known as reparative therapy, ex-gay therapy, or sexual orientation and gender identity change efforts to a minor, regardless of whether the provider receives compensation in exchange for such services, and providing penalties for the violation of said prohibition, and authorizing the Director of the Health Department to receive, investigate, and refer to the City CBB Counselor for prosecution in municipal court complaints of alleged violation of the provisions of this ordinance, and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 153, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, pursuant to Ordinance 68937, an ordinance authorizing the honorary street name Malik and DeBorah Ahmed Way, which shall begin at the intersection of Semple Avenue and Page Boulevard, and northeast on Page Boulevard to the intersection of Arlington Avenue and Page Boulevard. That is the extent of first reading of board bills.
Alderwoman from the 6th, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules to introduce Board Bill 151.
It's been moved by Alderwoman 154.
Yes, 154. Thank you.
All right. It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 6th that we suspend the rules for purposes of introducing Board Bill 154, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingrassia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Rhodey. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Aye.
Alderman Kotar. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Rhodey. Alderman Muhammad. 25 aye votes and 1 present.
By vote, sustain the motion of the Alderwoman from the 6th and introduce Board Bill 154. Madam Clerk, please place Board Bill 154 at the end of our first reading calendar and read the forward to it.
Board Bill 154, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingrassia, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 71022, which established an earnings and payroll tax reimbursement account in support of the project described in Ordinance 71022, a copy of which is attached hereto. That is the extent of first reading of board bills.
Alderwoman from the 6th, you're recognized.
And I move to suspend the rules to introduce resolution number 175.
Second.
Been moved by the Alderwoman from the 6th that we suspend our rules for the purposes of introducing Resolution 175. I'm assuming it's on everyone's desk.
It is.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 6th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd, that we suspend our rules for purposes of introducing Board Bill 175. Do I have a request for previous roll? There's been a request for previous roll. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please place Resolution 175 at the end of our first reading resolutions calendar.
Absolutely.
So noted.
Reference to committee.
To the Parks Committee, Board Bill 146. To Public Safety, Board Bill 147. To Health and Human Services, Board Bill 148 and 152. To Transportation and Commerce, Board Bill 149. To Ways and Means, Board Bill 150 and 151. To the Streets Committee, Board Bill 153. That is the extent of reference to committee.
Madam Clerk, please place the second reading. Mr. Clerk, did you get that last Board Bill 140? Let me see. Yeah, the last. The one that she just introduced. All right. Madam Clerk, please place Board Bill 154 in HUDs.
So noted.
Mr. Clerk? Thank you. Second reading.
The following board bill was reported out of the Legislation Committee with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 120 as amended, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderwoman Ingrassia, and Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. An ordinance prohibiting employers in the City of St. Louis from basing job hiring or promotion decisions on an applicant's criminal history unless the employer can demonstrate its relevance to the employment-related decision, or where employers are required to exclude applicants with certain criminal convictions due to local, state, or federal law or regulations, or prohibiting employers from inquiring about a job applicant's criminal history until after it has been determined that the job applicant is otherwise qualified for the job position, or the job applicant is a part of the final pool of candidates from which the job position will be filled, and all the applicants in the pool are asked. That is the extent of second reading report of standing committees.
We dispense with line item 14, perfection consent.
Board Bill 108, sponsored by Alderwoman Middlebrook, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to vacate public service rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in Fort A Street from Antelope Street to Thatcher Avenue and the easternmost 150 feet of the 20-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 4233 as bounded by Antelope, Forday, Thatcher, East Railroad in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 14 of Article 21 of the Charter and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 109, sponsored by Alderwoman Martin, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface, surface, and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in Van Burden Street from Priam Street to Tesson Street in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 14 of Article 21 of the Charter and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 110, sponsored by Alderwoman Middlebrook, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface, surface, and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in the city block of 4233 as bounded by Fort A. Thatcher, East Railroad, Antelope, in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 14 of Article 21 of the Charter and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 117, sponsored by Alderman Todd, pursuant to Ordinance 68937, an ordinance authorizing the honorary street name Pastor Nelson Watts Sr. and Rosetta Watts Lane, which shall begin at the intersection of East Cook Avenue and Jones Street and run north on Jones Street to the intersection of Jones Street and Page Boulevard. That is the extent of perfection consent calendar.
Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on the motion for the perfection consent calendar.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move to adopt the perfection consent calendar.
Moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We will dispense with line item 16, third reading consent.
Board Bill 18, 98, 119, and 129.
Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on the motion for the third reading and consent calendar.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for adoption of third reading consent calendar.
Moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our third reading and consent calendar. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingrassia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Rhodey. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Aye.
Alderman Kotar. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderman Rhodey. 27 aye votes.
By a vote, you sustain the motion of the Alderman from the 22nd and third read and finally pass the aforementioned bills. Third reading, report of engrossments.
We have none.
Report of enrollment.
Board Bill 18, 98, 119, and 129.
All other business being suspended, the President shall in open session affix his signature hereto to the end that these may become law. Alderman from the 19th, you recognize on the motion for courtesy resolutions calendar.
Mr. President, members of the board, I ask for unanimous consideration to approve our consent agenda calendar.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 19th that we adopt our courtesy resolutions calendar, and seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First reading resolutions.
Resolution 171, sponsored by Alderwoman Middlebrook, Withers Holdings, LLC, in the City of St. Louis, Enhanced Enterprise Zone.
Alderman from the 2nd, you recognized on the first reading of Resolution 171.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes,
Would you like to move to send it to a committee, or would you like to?
I would like to move to send it to the committee.
Okay. It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 2nd. Which committee would you like it?
HUD's.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 2nd that we sign Resolution 171 to HUD's. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 25th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 174, sponsored by Alderman Vaccaro, Metro Transit Workers Contract Mediation.
Alderman from the 23rd, you recognize on the first reading Resolution 174.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to explain what it is and then also send it to committee, but the transit workers have been working without a contract for 2 years. They're not asking for anything differently than what's already in their old contract that was negotiated years ago. Yet they're having trouble even getting that. They want to take stuff away from them. So they have mediation coming up this Tuesday, and my hopes are that they will at least be treated fairly in the mediations. Having said that,
would you like to, since the thing is Tuesday, would you like to at least attempt to do unanimous consent today?
I would like to come to unanimous consent today if we could.
Hearing no objection, Alderwoman from the, hold on a second. Alderman from the 23rd, are you finishing with your introduction?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, hearing no objection to unanimous consent, I recognize you on the motion to.
I would like to send it to public safety also.
No,
I understand.
Would you like to just adopt it?
I would like to adopt. I'm sorry.
All right.
Like the
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 23rd that we adopt Resolution 174. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 21st. Alderwoman from the 6th, you recognize.
Point of order, I don't have a copy. I know I don't have a copy of this on my desk. Does anybody else? I just would like to know what it is.
Is the copy of the resolution on everyone's desk? It should be in your resolutions folder.
It's not.
Well, we'll pause for 1 second.
Yeah, it's fine. I just don't have it. Yeah, if someone just hands one to me, that
All
would
right,
be wonderful.
the clerk will get you a copy of it. You're not objecting to it. You just
Correct.
didn't have it. Okay. All right. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 23rd, seconded by the Alderman from the 21st. It's been a request for unanimous consent that we adopt Resolution 174. If there isn't any further discussion, it's been moved and seconded. Yes. Please add the Alderwoman from the first name to the committee, the Alderwoman from the 5th, the Alderwoman from the, somebody want to do, what, somebody want to do, yeah, somebody, let's just make a motion on it. The Alderwoman from the 6th was standing first.
Motion for unanimous, oh wait, no. In bank.
Yeah.
To make this resolution in bank.
Yeah. It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 6th and seconded by everybody that we embank this resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make a note of that. Resolution 174 in bank. And now on the main motion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 174 has been adopted.
Resolution 175, Build-A-Bear Workshop, Inc.
Alderman from the 6th, you recognize on the first reading of Resolution 175.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we send Resolution 175 to Ways and Means.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 6th that we send Resolution 175 to Ways and Means, and I entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 27th and Alderman from the 23rd. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Resolution 175, the Ways and Means.
So noted. That is extent of first reading of resolutions.
Second reading.
We have none.
Miscellaneous unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Monday, November the 11th, the Board of Aldermen will be closed in honor of Veterans Day. Tuesday, November 12th, personnel will have a meeting 1 p.m. in the Leisure Room. Wednesday, November 13th, 2019, Rules will have a meeting at 10 a.m. in the Leisure Room. Thursday, November 14th, Ways and Means will meet 10 a.m. in the Leisure Room. And Friday, November 15th, full board meeting 10 a.m. in the Chambers. That is the extent of the announcement.
Any further announcements? Alderman from the 25th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also sent an email, I believe, earlier this week scheduling a Parks and Environmental Committee hearing for November 13th at 9 a.m. Can we please add that to the calendar?
Madam Clerk, please make note of that.
So noted.
Thank you.
Right. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Any further? Alderman from the 23rd.
We're going to have a public safety committee hearing on the 19th. And what day of the week is that? Tuesday. So because it conflicts with, let's do it at 1 o'clock.
All right. Madam Clerk, please make note of that.
So noted.
Any further announcements? Alderwoman from the 20th, you recognize on announcement.
I'd like to announce a Health and Human Services Committee hearing on Thursday at 10 a.m.
Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Alderwoman from the 1st.
Chairman and members of the board, I don't know if it was announced that we moved rules to Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And also, I wanted to say, if you all will notice, there is no longer deliveries going on our parking lot. We've had a big problem with people parking in our space, and I want to thank the mayor's office and the treasurer's office because they got together, and so now they do deliveries on Market Street. And if you're near the City Hall, if your parking space is near City Hall, you almost have to get out there with a body check to get them to move. So now they're not allowed. I want to thank the treasurer's office. When they come to do a delivery, there are green signs that you have to do the delivery right along Market Street and then come in. So that's cleared up one problem that we're having. We got a couple other problems with parking, but I do want to thank both the mayor's office and the treasurer's office for working together and getting rid of that problem.
All right, thank you. Any further? Alderman from the 23rd?
Actually, I should have talked to all my committee first. Can we make this Wednesday at 10? Am I conflicting with anybody?
Rules.
Wednesday at 10? Health? Okay, how about Wednesday at 1?
Let's make it Wednesday.
Let's do Tuesday at 10. Does it conflict with anybody? No, we'll do.
Hey, Alderman, would you just like, would you want to do it Thursday at 10?
Thursday at 10 is fine with me if that works.
All right.
So we're going
Madam
to do
Clerk,
that, public safety, Thursday at 10.
Madam Clerk, please make note of that, Thursday at 10, public safety.
So noted.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 25th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the Alderman from the 23rd's wishes to accommodate all of our schedules, but I think we've all become pretty adept at being in multiple places at the same time, so I think we'll work that out. But I do want to inquire of the Alderman from the 1st Ward of her announcement, if that's at all possible.
Alderwoman from the
1st.
Alderwoman from the 1st, and it's not really customary.
I know it's not customary, but if you could indulge me in a personal
Alderwoman from the 1st, the Alderman from the 25th would like to see if you will yield for questioning concerning your announcement.
Yes.
Alderman from the 25th, please proceed.
We've got an over-under bet in the STL TV crew to see how long I can keep the meeting going. So
okay.
I want to win my bet. No, I'm kidding. I actually was curious, when did the changes go into effect for the no deliveries in the rear parking lot?
About a week ago.
Okay.
And if you look, there are green signs right there, and so they have to then come in right there by the trash on the side, but there are green signs from where there used to be an entrance on Market, and therefore deliveries now, and it makes it much better.
So are they not supposed to be using the entrance on Clark any longer to get into that area for delivery services?
I don't know about Clark. I just know they're not supposed to be using ours because they were parking. What I was told.
No, like the entrance to the city hall.
Right. They're not supposed to be able to come in at all. In fact, when they buzz, the treasurer's office has instructed the people to tell them no, they have to go around and do deliveries on Market.
And I just want to, I want to thank the treasurer and mayor's office for that change as well. I'm standing next to my colleague from the 2nd Ward because last week, as a matter of fact, we both were standing or sitting in our vehicles on Clark Street for about 20 minutes while a delivery vehicle was trying to gain access to the parking area. And, you know, frankly, you know, we're here to come down and conduct our business on behalf of our citizens and to, you know, have to deal with the comings and goings of various, because there's a lot of them that come, you know, Friday mornings to drop off things, especially if we've got events going on in City Hall. So it does interfere with us being able to conduct our business down here as well, especially when we're not aware of when those things are happening. So I do want to thank you for that, because I had to actually go out and play traffic director and get out of my car and help the truck back up into, you know, into Clark there. So thank you.
So since you said that, what I will do is call the treasurer's office and request that they put a sign up there saying no deliveries on Market Street. Either the treasurer's or the mayor's office, who's ever going to put that sign up, so that they know that they shouldn't even turn into that, because that is a problem if they're.
Or I'm sorry, I keep saying Clark Street. I mean 14th Street.
I knew right.
I keep meaning 14th Street, so I apologize.
I figured it out. At first when you said Clark, I was like, I don't know.
I did not mean Clark. I meant 14th.
Right. But I will ask them if they can put some kind of signage up there so to prevent them from turning in.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Also, I know you all know that the freeholders are due to begin their meetings next week here in the chambers, and we're going to welcome them here. I've been in discussions with County Executive Sam Page, and the County Executive has been very clear. He is requesting of his freeholders not to engage in any substantive business until our freeholders are seated. This is a year-long process, right? So, and then it's a year-long process with community engagement and all sorts of things. The board involvement, all of us are going to be involved in this thing at the end. But what is clear is that it's so important that we get this thing right, especially coming out of the gates, so that we are not just mired down in legal challenges across the next year. I've been encouraging members of the committee and also the mayor's office to come together on that small difference that they have, and I think that you know, hopefully by next week everybody will be there, right? I don't think that the void is that far that we cannot get through that as a city. I think it's important that we do that. Certainly, we know that Better Together, they failed, and they failed largely because people felt like they didn't have a seat at the table, right? And I think that it's important that we address those issues through this process. And Sam Page, the way they did it out in the county, Sam said he spent time with each member of the council, right? And that's how they got through it. So I'm encouraging. I'm encouraging both the mayor's office and every member of the committee to approach it with openness and willing to work to move this process forward, because it's important that we move forward. Again, and then the members of the stakeholders are expecting to have a conversation with all the members of the board next week. So if you all are available, just to talk to them about what you would like to see and what's important here for the city of St. Louis, I think that would be helpful. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to update you on that. I will be sending some correspondence out and giving everybody an update. But let's push to try to get this thing done on next Friday, at our next Friday's meeting. That would be great if we can get this thing done, both the mayor's office and everybody alike coming together. So I think we're close. And I think the chairman of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee would echo that also. Mr. Chairman?
If the process is fair, we can do it next Friday, but until it's fair, we have the right to control our own destiny. I've asked the mayor on several occasions to take 3 from the north, 3 from the south, and 3 from the central corridor, but to no avail. So until that process is fair, I will be holding out if I had to do a sit-in.
Okay. We're going to make sure you don't have to do that,
We'll make sure that it's a fair process, that everybody's represented at the table, because we have a right to choose who we want to lead us in our destiny and for our future.
All right.
So if I have to sit on this desk all night, 24 hours, until the process is fair, which is not a fair process right now.
You will not have to sit at your desk, Mr. Chairman.
I'll be holding out.
We will make sure you
That's
do
why
not.
the church is here to pray for y'all.
We will make sure that you do not have to sit. But, you know, I'm not opening that up for discussion. I just wanted to make a comment about that. Is that okay, Alderman? Yeah, that's okay. And, you know, the chairman, because obviously, you know, his thing. You're still trying to win your bet, Alderman.
I think I've lost it at this point.
All right, is it?
I actually would like to, pertaining to the Board of Freeholders, so as customary down here, we have STL TV filming our regular Board of Aldermen meetings and the committee hearings. I would like to request that STL TV is present for the Board of Freeholders.
I think that's
in the spirit of transparency as well.
That's a grand idea.
So I would ask that your office help coordinate that.
We will coordinate
with
that.
STL TV.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on the motion of excuse.
Mr. President, member of the board, I move to excuse the alderman from the 7th and 12th due to necessary absence.
Moved by the alderman from the 22nd. Entertain a second on that motion. Nobody wants to? Second. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the alderman from the 19th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on the motion to adjourn.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I move to adjourn until next Friday, November the 15th.
It's been moved by the alderman from the 22nd. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the alderman from the 8th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.